Hi, I'm Dr. Dacia Milescu, and this is my story. I'm first generation here, Romanian parents coming from Romania in 1968. I have my genetics to thank for with respect to having grown up as a gymnast. It's just a big tradition in Romania, so it was kind of natural for me to be interested in gymnastics. I watched Nadia on television in 1976. I was 6 years old, and I was completely enthralled with her, and she was my idol in my childhood. Naturally, I was flexible, but I never knew that I had a disability, and I'm thankful for that now. I was born with congenital hip dysplasia and never really knew about it until last year, 2018. So my story is that I grew up quite flexible, and I always had to do a lot of conditioning to get strong as a gymnast. But I had hypermobility in all my joints, as you can see even now. And the hypermobility in my hips, along with my misshapen hips with congenital hip dysplasia, caused early onset of arthritis in my hips. I had a very enlarged femoral head with a flat acetabulum, which is the hip socket, and that allowed for my hip to constantly pop out, eroding the cartilage. Great for flexibility. I would bring my leg up all the way up behind my head. I could do the Olga Korbut, where I would be on the beam, put my chin on the beam, and bring my legs over. Cirque du Soleil moves. So my flexibility was a gift, but also a curse as an adult later on. I went off to podiatry school after I got a degree in biology. And I enjoyed being a doctor. I did a 3-year residency and became board certified as a foot surgeon. I lived in New York for many years. I grew up in New York and I still love it, but we arrived in Florida in 2003. I was pregnant with my 3rd child. And the reason why I'm giving you this whole story, back in 2008, my life changed. Until then, I was just practicing medicine and exercising to keep in shape after having 3 children. One day on a Sunday, I think it was, or a Saturday. It was Saturday in May of 2008. I had a podiatry consult. At that time, it was Florida Hospital. Now it's Advent Health, Altamont Springs campus. And I finished my consult, and I got in the car, and I was on 436. And all of a sudden, at the light, I was on the phone just saying to my husband that I was going to meet him at Costco when I hear a boom. So normally at the light is when you want to talk and not talk on the phone and drive, but I did call him. And during that period, I heard this big kaboom. And I turned my head and I sustained whiplash due to a lady that was texting and driving and hit me from behind. Long story short, it really did a number on my back. I was already very flexible. I was doing yoga and Pilates at the time, but the injury was pretty bad. So I had disc bulges L1 to L5 and cervical C2 to C5. About a couple months later, I went back to work right away, but a couple months later, I was in the operating room, and the next morning, after doing surgery, I couldn't walk. The pain was so bad in my back. So eventually, something needed to be done. I was in physical therapy for an extended period of time with back pain, and this guy named Dan Best, he pretty much introduced me to yoga at Longwood Rehab. And the rest is history. I fell in love with yoga. I did the yoga training. Prior to that, I did some yoga, but mostly Pilates and other forms of exercise like Tai Bo. So I went to Red Sun Yoga, and I did the teacher training there in 2008. And by 2010, I started a yoga studio, Serenity Now Yoga. Serenity Now Yoga came up with the name. How did I come up with the name? It was George Costanza, when he lifted his hands up in one episode and he screamed Serenity Now. So for me, yoga is Serenity Now. And the story of how Serenity Now Yoga started was pretty inspiring to other people, because literally it comes from wanting to help other people and rehab other people. So out of that, it wasn't just a yoga studio. I developed it into a wellness center. So initially we had a chiropractor. Later on we had an acupuncturist. Now we have massage, we have facials, we have energy healing with Reiki and pranic healing. So we really became a diversified holistic wellness center. During the process of healing myself, I facilitated healing in others and came up with this program, Medical Yoga. Medical yoga was pretty much an organic development out of a need with people that have injuries and cannot be in a regular group class, only private sessions. Perhaps they have a chronic disease like Parkinson's or MS or fibromyalgia. I've had lots of clients that have back pain, hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder impingement, all these kind of issues. And sometimes they need that extra little help one-on-one. So that's my story. And last year, it pretty much came to a big circle where I had to heal myself again. For the last 6 years, I progressively got worse with my hip arthritis from the congenital hip dysplasia. So eventually I went to a doctor after visiting the ER twice. And I thank Dr. Cole so much because at first I was quite scared. I pretty much regressed into a little bit of resentment and anger, and that's normal. You go through the stages and then eventually acceptance of what is to come. And I was scared that perhaps I will never teach yoga again. But with his help, I had the anterior approach. The anterior incision allows for a lot more range of motion. Apparently, I have the Maserati of hip replacement implants because it's an implant from Italy. And it has given me a lot of range of motion, and I'm able to do pretty much everything except hyperextension. So I don't really do much of Warrior 3 or King Dancer pose, but I do everything else, and I'm very, very thankful and in gratitude for Dr. Cole. I had the right hip done May 27th, 2018, and then I had the left hip done this year, May 28th of 2019, and now it's end of July, and I'm post-op week 9, and I'm back to work, and I'm in gratitude for my yoga practice and meditation and energy healing, because all of these things together accelerated my healing, along with a team of medical personnel that have helped me to accelerate healing at a much faster pace without drugs. Dr. Dana O'Keefe, who I recommend highly at Chirofunction, helped me maintain my back aligned so that it wouldn't go into spasm or have sciatica issues while I'm healing my hip replacements. Of course, Dr. Cole, who is, I think, the best orthopedic surgeon in town. Nikki Solomon, who is a medical massage therapist, who I thank so much for keeping me healthy and happy, and worked on my scar right away within 10 days after the surgeries, both last year and this year. And most of all, my husband, who has been there for me during this whole long process of healing. It's been 2 years. And of course, all my yoga teachers that are at the studio, keeping this place open. And Laura Barcelou, who's not only my office manager and studio manager, but is one of the best teachers in ballet barre that I have met. And she's a wonderful instructor in belly dance. So if you haven't had an opportunity to visit Serenity Now Yoga Bar and Healing Arts Center, please do. We are in Longwood. Our address is 1200 West State Road 434, Suite 212, Longwood, Florida. You can text me, email me, find me on Facebook, Instagram, all that. And anyone that wants to do a medical yoga session with me, I now added, besides medical yoga, Therapeutic Pilates and energy healing with Holy Fire Reiki to the practice. If you're interested in my private practice, please visit milescumedicalyoga.com. If you want to come to our group classes, please visit serenitynowyogacorp.com. And again, thank you so much, everyone that's been involved in my healing. Namaste. fibromyalgia. I've had lots of clients that have back pain, hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder impingement, all these kind of issues. And sometimes they need that extra little help one-on-one. So that's my story, and last year it pretty much came to a big circle where I had to heal myself again. For the last 6 years, I progressively got worse with my hip arthritis.